A Wrinkle in Time, My Hairiest Adventure, Ender's Game, My Teacher is an Alien, Choose Your Own Star Wars Adventure. 5 books from the science fiction genre, with a bonus episode on a young children's storybook to round off the 3rd chapter of the podcast. Your favorite ignorant man-children will be discussing all this and more in this finale to Season 1. It's Reiterated Chapter 3. Let's talk. Welcome to Reiterated, the episode where your favorite lowbrow book club discusses the last 5 books we read, cover what we missed, discuss the latest chapter as a chole. That's not how that's said. Discuss the latest chapter as a whole, as well as talk about whatever the hell we want. As usual, we give you the fair warning. We use language too mature for kids, analysis too immature for literary scholars, and ignorance too profound to be inoffensive to everyone. You can interact with us and enjoy all kinds of bonus content by searching Reliterated on Twitter, Instagram, Reddit, YouTube, and Facebook. Or you can ask us questions, suggest future episodes, or tell us what we've missed by sending us an email at reliterated@gmail.com, and we'll read what you send us on the show, unless you ask us not to. But we'd love to interact with you, so please send those messages in. My name's Andy, and this is Harold and Josh. Say hi, guys.
Hello.
Hi, guys.
Hi.
So how are things?
Things are going pretty good. How are you?
I'm well. I was happy that I didn't have to read anything this week because I've been reading so much children's literature. I've just been craving an adult novel. So I finally got to dive into my adult novel. Well, not adult, but
nice.
It's made for adults.
Ooh.
Woo.
Yeah.
What's your adult novel called? Hustler?
Yeah, Hustler Letters, Volume 17.
His Hottest Touch.
No, it is called Nightfall by Simon R. Green. It's the last in 2 series, actually. He has a series called The Night Side, and he also has a series called The Secret Histories. And both of those worlds collide in Nightfall. So it is the end of both of those series, and I'm excited to read it.
Nice.
Is this a reiterator or an episode about a book?
I'm just talking about what I'm doing in my free time, which is reading this other book that I like.
I too have been relishing the not having an assigned reading book myself, and I've taken this opportunity to just blow middle fingers at both of y'all. I'm reading the fucking Hobbit, motherfuckers. And it's going great.
Tolkien.
Wait,
I'm reading the fucking Hobbit.
Hold on. Tolkien did write something that I appreciate. I actually found out.
Oh, yeah?
He was involved in some way or another in writing the Oxford Dictionary.
I think I'd heard that before, yeah.
It's perfect for him because, you write one word and then you relentlessly describe what it means. So, so I do appreciate dictionaries. So there we go.
You see, I don't think you've even read Tolkien.
You don't think I've read Tolkien?
No, because I find his prose magical and his characters unforgettable, and just the way that his voice comes out in his writing, it's just so verdant and evergreen. And it really lets you savor the pleasure of reading something. Makes you feel full inside, No,
I don't get that same feeling when I read Tolkien, and I have read Tolkien.
Yeah, Tolkien, his writing just angers me.
I mean, Josh, you don't like high fantasy as it is. That's at least
true.
Like high fantasy, so it's just not my favorite story, I guess, maybe too. I don't really like The Lord of the Rings. And it doesn't help that I didn't like Tolkien's writing.
Well, it's not for everybody. Don't be ashamed that you aren't as cool as me.
Hey man, I have always enjoyed standing aside from the crowd, so it's okay. However, I did include myself in a crowd after our last episode last week.
Yeah.
You guys, have been enjoying reading books. I've enjoyed this new thing that I've discovered. It's called being exhausted and going to sleep like an adult early in the evening.
That's right. Harold got a job.
Yeah, I got a new job, and it is a lot more intensive than the job I had previous. This isn't the first time I've had a job, but it is the first time in a little bit. But I got to be up at 5:30 in the morning now, and normally I don't get home don't leave until 4 o'clock in the afternoon. But like this week, we were doing some work, so we're there till 6. We've been there till 6 all week, which is tiring. But this company, not going to get into mentioning who they are or what they do, but I started about 3 weeks ago now. Tomorrow will be 3 weeks for me. And during the first week, they slapped up this paper that said, hey, we got a tubing trip coming up next week, next Friday. Sign up. And everybody's like, you want to sign up? Sign up. And I'm like, I've only been here a couple days. I'm not going to sign up for the tubing trip because I feel like I'd be imposing and I should stay and I should work during that day because people were going to be staying behind and working. And a couple days later, they call a meeting and they're like, hey, everyone, we noticed the new people haven't signed up for the tubing trip. Here's the deal. Giving you a bonus to go, paying you to go. Have fun. Come and meet people. And I'm like, okay, signing up. So I sign up.
Man, how do I work for this company?
Right. Put an application in on Indeed.
Shit.
Mention my name and maybe you'll get in.
Ooh, okay.
But
is there a referral bonus for you?
I don't know if there is or not, but I would definitely share your name if you want to come work for it. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I will cede my opportunity so that Josh can have it, so that he can move back and we can start doing podcasts in person.
Dude.
Oh no, I really like my job, so I like helping. I like helping out kids. It's fun. I help kids too.
Yeah, he does.
I help kids by helping parents. But anyways, so
he's a hooker.
So yeah, I'm a hooker.
No. Sex worker. Hooker is derogatory.
Yes. Depends. I'm okay with being called a hooker, so we've established that. So I signed up for it and everything, and I realized when I left to go there, it was about an hour away from the shop. We had to go in, normal time, work a couple hours, and then we all left together. And as I'm about halfway there, I realized I didn't look at the name of the place we're supposed to meet for this tubing trip. I just signed up because I was like, yeah, it sounds like a good deal, So I get all the way there. After driving around a mile for a little while, I finally find the group of people. We eat lunch and everything. And there's a part I want to leave out, but I'm going to keep going with it anyway. So we all get ready to go on this tubing trip. We get out there and we start throwing the tubes in the water. People are going. And the water moves a little bit faster than normal. See, everybody there was used to the Rifle River, which is really slow. Well, we were on the Ausable River, which is slow as rivers go, but fast enough and turny enough that you're constantly having to like paddle your way away from the edge where there are trees that will catch you. So we all start pulling ourselves together, and I'm talking there's like 70 people, and I'd say at least a good 55 or so of us were all tethered together, okay? Now, the other person I was with, we were just hanging on. We weren't tied up. Everybody else was tied together. And there was stuff being passed around, drinks and whatnot, right? And we're all laughing and talking, and one person kept saying, hey, let's stop up here, let's stop up here. And it was kind of crazy to me because it was, even though it was a Friday, there were families everywhere and they were all stopped at these places. And we're like 60 people rolling up. I'm like, we are never going to be able to stop at one of these spots. We should just keep moving. We're in a good place here, And it was cool because all of a sudden some people yell, we'd start moving. Well, this thing I dubbed Tubezilla. It was this huge, massive tubes moving through the water. So when they tried to stop, the other person and I broke off and we ended up stopping at the next one. And I'm like, well, I got to go to the bathroom. So I run up to go to the bathroom. I come down and we see the big set of tubes passing, the big group of tubes passing, and then a smaller set of the leftovers passing behind them. And one of the guys, who his nickname is Thor, sees me and Danielle and says, ha, fuckers, catch you later. And we're like, oh, shit, let's try and catch up with them. So they come around the bend in the river. We jump on our tubes. We start floating. As we come around the bend, we see that smaller group of tubes. and it is literally tangled, wrapped around a tree on the side of the river. Thor is hanging on for dear life to the fucking log as the water sweeps past him. This one other lady I work with, she's nervously laughing as she's floating away on her own because she somehow survived it. One dude's yelling, "Stop laughing. This was almost a deadly situation." We're like, holy crap, man. So we keep rolling down the river a little bit, and we're like, well, we'll find the bigger group of them. Come around the next bend. The bigger group is wrapped around a bigger tree. Everybody is off their tubes. The tubes are just totally wrapped around these trees. And we're like, holy shit. We like scoot right past them, and we're like, oh my God, I can't believe it. And as we're floating down the river, we're talking about it. All of a sudden, I feel something hit my hand. And I reach down, and there's an ice-cold beer floating in the river right by my hand. So I take it out, I crack it open, I go, this beer was obviously for me. I started drinking it. And we did end up finding out that they were okay, because there's this thing we do at work as like something's happening, or when the stress is really starting to hit, and all of a sudden someone, it's like if someone always knows, and they'll just go, woo! And then everybody just, woo! You know, kind of, and we, in the distance, we could hear faintly the wooing coming from down the river, because they never caught up with us. We stopped and waited for 15 minutes at one point, and they never caught up with us. So,
wow.
Yeah, it was pretty crazy. Yeah, it was fun.
What a wild environment you work in now.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you know, during the week and everything, like when we're at work, dude, I walk through the door at 7:00 in the morning, or I'm punched in by then and dressed, and I'm walking into my room where I work, and it's right to work. And we work until our break. Then we come back from our break, and we work until lunch, and then we come back from lunch, and we work straight up to the end. And I mean, I'm talking like if you're 20 minutes from the end and you have nothing left to do, you'll have 15, 20 people, every one of them with either a broom or dustpan in their hand, just walking around sweeping. Like, I have experienced the environment, the leadership type environment that I'm getting the vibe of here. And it was at my last job, and I'm actually glad to have found something like it again, you know.
Awesome.
Minus a few things that I didn't like about that last one.
Good.
Yeah. So anyhow, it was fun. That was a pretty crazy introduction to a brand new company that I'm working for, and I am excited to see where it goes from here.
Excellent.
Awesome to hear.
It's been a pretty exciting start to this podcast. Also, we are wrapping up our first season and the third chapter of this podcast. We went through 5 sci-fi related books, and we're going to recap anything we may have missed, starting with our first book of the chapter, A Wrinkle in Time.
Ugh, I do not miss this book.
You don't miss the book, huh?
I do not miss it. Oh, God. Was it... Wait, I was trying to remember... Did we ever find out if it was Charles Wallace?
It was Charles Wallace, but the entity was controlling him.
You motherfuckers. I got so tired of that joke.
Did you?
Yes, I did.
Weren't you interested in knowing whether it was Charles Wallace or not?
I knew it. I knew that it wasn't Charles Wallace.
I had to bring it up at least one more time. Come on now.
What's funny is that the first book in this chapter was the inception of my joke about beating up children. It was further bolstered in Ender's Game. And actually books in between too, because I was just able to make jokes about beating up kids because it was funny. And it all came to a head when my child slammed me into a tree and I fell on the ground.
Yeah, when your child beat you up. Yeah.
My child won the fight. So lessons were learned this chapter.
Mm-hmm. I feel like that was a really good arc in our story.
It really was.
It was the B story.
The underlying thread of our narrative.
Yeah, I was actually really surprised by Wrinkle in Time because I had read it when I was younger, but I didn't remember it very well. and I still am not positive as to why it's so controversial. I think that if anything, like, you know, like we talked about, the godheads were freaking out because of the science and the witchcraft, and the science heads were freaking out because of the godliness. But realistically, I mean, if there's going to be a balance in a book that's going to be read in public schools between religion and science, I mean, it covers both bases and doesn't really push either one of them down your throat. You know what I'm saying?
In fact, it promotes both.
It promotes both, really, yeah. And so I don't understand. It's just one of those things where people got to have something to be upset about, I guess.
And people will find that for sure. I still want to know what's up with Charles Wallace as far as like what he is, how he's such a prodigy, such a brilliant kid.
Right.
If there's any reason that I might have to read on in that series, it would be to discover what that is, how he got his brain powers, and what exactly makes him special.
Right. And
what he means by like Meg is not one of us, or he's not like us, and well, who is us? Who exactly are the celestial beings, the talented, the people who can see the mysteries of the universe and such. I would be interested to see how that unfolds in the series.
Yeah, that would be something I'd like to see too. I know that in that afterword, they talk about how, I mean, Meg doesn't really take a central role after the first book. So, or if she does, she still plays like a supporting role for at least her husband, which is, what was that kid's name?
Wait, what kid are you talking about?
The kid that was with them.
Kelvin?
Kelvin, yeah. She's married to Kelvin later, and she's like his lab assistant. So she plays a supporting role for Kelvin, but they don't say much about Charles Wallace, nor do they confirm whether or not it's Charles Wallace or the entity. I had to throw that last one in again.
They confirmed it.
So are we going to compare it to the movies now, or are we going to talk about the movies all at once?
I was going to say, yeah, we did watch the movie for Wrinkle in Time, the newest movie for Wrinkle in Time, which I actually rather enjoyed quite a bit.
Yeah, I thought it was like a good movie. I don't know. It's hard to say how I might have received that movie if I hadn't read the book. Like, because I read the book, I knew a lot of what was going on and why people made choices and what certain things are supposed to be, even though things were a little bit different in the movie than in the book. But because I read the book, I couldn't say how that holds up as a movie on its own. And maybe the fact that it didn't do too well with audiences means that if you haven't read the book, then it's not that great a movie.
Right. Well, and I know that when we got to the point where they changed into the creature and flew up, Josh had commented on the whole, like, how it wasn't the creature from the book. And I think you and I both agreed, Andy, that it was almost better than the creature from the book, because the creature from the book was her trying to describe a centaur, but tell us, but it's not a centaur.
Tell us how it's not a centaur. Yeah. It looked exactly like a centaur with wings, but it wasn't a centaur with wings.
No,
and the book did a lot of that kind of description, where it described things in a way that you couldn't possibly, like, visually.
It looked like a shotgun, but it was more like a tube with a pump handle on it and a trigger to fire shells out of.
Yeah, I didn't enjoy it that much. I basically, like, the parts of the book that I liked the most, they just skipped over really quick. Like, Aunt Beast was so important in the book. She was the one that brought Meg back.
Like them tentacles.
And all it was, oh, there's Aunt Beast, and they waved, and that was it. I was like, really?
Just made a cameo, yeah, that no one hasn't read the book would understand.
And then also the quotes, like the one speaks in these amazing, like, groundbreaking quotes, and then they change them to fucking lyrics, like rap lyrics. Yes, I'm sorry.
Lyrics and stuff.
I'm sorry.
Or
Outkast,
like Beyonce quotes. Or
I like
whatever.
Outkast, but it's not as profound as Socrates. You know, it's
right.
Wait, how did you say that?
What do you call him? Socrates?
No.
How do you
call him
it?
Socrates?
Oh, Socrates. Oh, I said Socrates. I'm sorry. That was fun.
Yeah, you've never heard it pronounced Socrates?
Socrates.
When you're trying to seem like you're too, I don't know, debonair for Wrinkle in Time, the movie, you need to call him Socrates.
No,
so
I'm just gonna call him. I'll just call him Socrates because that way I'm just on Bill and Ted's level.
Yeah. Yep. Overall, I thought the movie was all right. I also made the mention when we were watching the movie that I thought they failed us by taking out that Ant Beast part because it kind of just rushes it along. Now, Andy felt differently at the time, as I remember it, that, you know, that would have just been extra minutes added for no reason.
I mean, that whole part was filler. She could have just not been discombobulated by the Tessering and gone back in like in the movie and not even needed Ant Beast.
No, she was central to the story. Furry tentacles, my friend.
Furry
Always
tentacles.
central to the story.
Yep. You can't praise God without furry tentacles. It's crucial to any Christian folktale.
But yeah, so Wrinkle in Time was all right, and it wasn't as bannable a book as I remember it being. Or at least the hype around it from back then.
Interesting story. I think it was a Newbery winner, right?
Yes, or a runner-up.
Yeah.
It was? Okay.
Yep. Got the John Newbery Medal in 1963. People in 1960s were more easy to impress.
Right.
Back then, I guess. It's interesting how culture shifts and changes over time. And it's not a bad book, but...
Well, I mean, you say that they were more easy to impress back then, but then our second book is My Hairiest Adventure from the Goosebumps series.
But it's not like that won a Newbery.
It did win a Newbery, but, I mean, we all remembered the story because we read it.
Right?
We already agreed that Newberries aren't picked because children like them.
It's because of the committee thinks that these stories are... The particular story is good for kids.
Yes.
Yeah, a committee of adults.
What do they know?
Possibly with or without children.
But I was disappointed that we went through that episode on My Hairiest Adventure and we hardly made anything at all about the doctor being named Dr. Merkin.
Yeah, we really didn't.
Yeah, we didn't
really didn't
capitalize
play on Lurkin
that.
Merkin.
Lurkin Merkin. Have any of you ever seen a Merkin in action?
I have not seen a Merkin in action.
Was there one in The Invisible Man?
A Merkin in The Invisible Man?
There might have been a Merkin in The Invisible Man.
What the fuck is a Merkin?
You don't know what a Merkin is?
No, what the hell is a Merkin?
An artificial covering of hair for the pubic area.
Oh.
It's like a crotch wig.
Yeah,
oh
dude.
my god. That seems useless. People still keep hair on the crotch area?
I know, right?
Like, what?
Apparently, it is typically used by women as a bedroom accessory or as a way to disguise their pubic area in films. They can be worn for as little as a few hours to as long as 3 or 4 days. And this includes waxing or shaving your pubic areas.
I don't know if 3 or 4 days is a good idea.
And such you can attach it with spirit gum.
I wouldn't recommend leaving anything on anyone's crotch for 3 or 4 days without removing it and letting it get some air.
Yeah, I just don't understand the need for Merkins.
Especially when they could have just used that tanning lotion.
Right? Insta-Merkin.
Insta-Merkin.
Apply directly to the groin.
You know, what's funny is, because we watched the episode for that one too, but in the book, they made it out to sound like they were actually doing all right as a band. It was only when they started losing people that they started going downhill. I mean, to the point that Larry was like, oh, I'm a perfectionist. I'm making us practice over and over again. And then in the show, those kids couldn't play if somebody was threatening them with a bomb. Like, they also weren't going to be in a battle of bands. They were auditioning for a birthday party. Why remove the battle of the bands? I didn't understand that. Probably budgetary concerns. They're like, we can't decorate a gym.
They also take out the main antagonist, or the bad guy is not even in the TV episode.
Who is the bad guy?
Well, his arch enemy, the other band.
Oh, right.
Oh, yeah.
What was his name?
Howie. Yeah, Howie and the Screamers.
But also, you have to realize, like, he's talking about going on Star Search and shit. Nah, motherfucker, in a month, you're going to be a dog. Because that scene, because everybody in that town, every kid in that town is a dog. Well, until the end, in which case they start using cats, but...
I love how in the episode of the show, like, in the book, it almost works for the parents to be like, we don't know what you're talking about. We don't know about this kid, you know, when Lily turns into a dog. But then in the show, it was just like, he was literally having dinner with them the night before, and then he goes up and they're acting like they don't even know who he is. They're like, well, the fuck you talking about, kid? Get the hell out of here. And I was also interested, so in the movie and in the book they do that to the cat too, correct?
Yeah.
They make the cat into a child.
Yeah, because they talk about the child's weird eyes at the end.
Yeah.
Because they're a cat.
Yeah, at the end they make Jasper into a baby girl.
Right. Now in the show, that threw me off because I was, you know, I had mentioned it then, but it was a full-grown cat and it became a baby. So I don't understand how this transformation works.
I don't know. It's Goosebumps.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to make sense.
It needs to make sense. It needs to have to make sense.
Well, I don't understand why Larry's arms look like carpeting.
Right? Shag carpeting. My grandparents.
They did look very carpety.
My grandparents that live out by your parents, Andy, until I was probably, I want to say 14 or 15 years old, they had like lava shag carpeting. That's the best way I could describe it. It looked like flames in lava. It was orange, like bright orange with like yellows and reds throughout it. It was something else. And it was shag, man. And it was taken care of. I mean, when I was 14, it didn't look like bad carpeting. It looked like it was pretty new still.
Well, while we're on the topic of dogs, I just want to clear one thing for the record.
You hate dogs?
I do not hate dogs or cats. I don't hate pets. I just don't want them. There's a difference.
Because you think they should all be euthanized and because they're useless?
No. I mean, I see no use for them personally to me, because when you own an animal, you have to deal with their smells. You have to deal with the things they destroy. You have to be 24-hour waste management.
Sounds like a parent.
No, not a parent. I mean, they grow
you just
out of
described
that.
Everything about
humans.
parenting.
Humans grow out of that, and they can be taught responsibility within a few years.
So it's more or less that you don't like the idea of having to care for something else other than yourself because you're selfish, is what you mean.
What I'm saying is I need to focus. Listen here, motherfucker. I'm in a part of my life where I need to focus on caring for myself. Okay.
You know what would help you do that? A little kitty that give you love whenever you need it.
Kitties do not care for me. They rub up against me when they want to be fed.
Well, my kitty tried to get me to stay home today. So I disagree with you.
Because your kitty wanted you to feed it.
No, he wanted me to snuggle him. You do not give animals enough credit. They are living beings that also require care and love. And our ancestors created this problem, and it is up to us to deal with it.
by giving wolves
animals.
Mental handicaps, but through breeding.
Hey, that mental handicap that we gave those wolves is cute as fuck.
Dogs are just moronic wolves.
Well, you know what? My day on Saturday was totally made because I got to see Charlie, and I love that dog. So I was super happy to see her after not seeing her for about 6 months now. Or no, more like 3 months. Yeah, it's been about 3 months since I moved. So, but yes, I missed her and I got to see her. So yay, a good birthday for me.
Yay.
Yay.
Oh, that's right. Josh turned 40 this chapter.
That's true. He's a middle-ager.
Yep.
So old. Why am I still up? I need to go to bed.
You need to go to bed.
You've been like that for years now, though. Needing to go to bed at like
this is true.
9 o'clock your time.
Yeah, I am an old man at heart. So,
but yeah, My Harriest Adventure was pretty good, but not my favorite Goosebumps book by far.
No, I think the next one's going to be a lot better.
I do as well. Well, I know it is because in our first chapter, we all read an extra Goosebumps book with the first one because Andy had an idea that we kiboshed. And and I happened to read this book. Which I think Andy's also glad that we kiboshed the idea.
Wait, what are we talking about?
When your idea was that we would read multiple Goosebumps books, compare them, and then never do a Goosebumps book again.
Oh, right. Yeah. Wait, not never do a Goosebumps book again.
You said never, ever again.
Never, ever again. I mean, maybe
You
those
said like
words
maybe once a year.
separated. Nope. You are misattributing quotes to me.
You said, I hate cats and dogs, and we should never do a Goosebumps book again. That's what you said.
No, I think you just heard our listeners say, man, I hope they never do a Goosebumps book ever again.
Right? But no, we will be doing Goosebumps books in the future.
Oh, we're going to be doing a lot of Goosebumps. Goosebumps were, I think, all of our, they were a big part of all of our reading experiences as kids.
100%.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they're also less likely to send us into political talk frenzies.
Right, because they were very safe.
Very safe. Not like our third book in the series, the chapter.
Ender's Game. Oh,
Ender's
God.
Game, man. Not only was that like a trial to get through, but the themes and the author and the ideas, it just, Ender's Game should have been a "Don't Get Us Started" episode.
For real.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
I mean, it took us 3 and we hurried the last one like real quick.
Yeah. Well, and Andy and I went off on tangents about politics and religion and war.
Right. There's a lot to say about the stuff going on behind the ideas in the book.
There are. Yeah. It's hard not to say something about it or even like the ideas of the author. I mean, that was what spurred the first thing, was finding out that the author felt like his way is the only way that people should live. I mean, it's like,
yep,
it stirs up an emotion in me. It angers me that people do that. But regardless, yeah.
And then you bring about themes of like humanity's capacity for destruction and the ethics of warfare and
or the willingness. I mean, if you think about it, so we look at over in like an African nation where they might have child soldiers, and we think, God, that's disgusting. How could they do that? But then I am willing to bet you that most people that are reading Ender's Game never consider that aspect of it. Yeah, I mean, they do, but they may, but for the most part, they're like, yeah, but this is necessary.
I think they bring that up in a line in the movie, actually. Like, Major Anderson says, the child soldiers used to be a war crime. And Graf said, well, when everything's done, we'll worry about the ethics of it or something of that nature.
And I mean, if you think about it, that's the perspective they're taking because of the situation they're in. I'm not agreeing with child soldiers in any way, but the perspective of the person that is creating that is that it's a necessary thing. Right or wrong doesn't really factor into that consideration of how what the perspective of the person enacting a policy like that.
So what else about Ender's Game did we have?
I mean,
the book was better than the movie by far.
By far. The movie, they did a weird thing where they took 2 people and merged them into one person, because they took Bonzo and made him look like the guy from Rat Army.
You're talking about the ethnicity of the guy who played Bonzo Madrid.
Yes, he looked like he was of Jewish descent.
What I didn't like about Bonzo,
I watched it again, and I'm a Spaniard. I see Spanish people who look like that with the dark eyes, dark hair.
Well, I mean, realistically, we're talking about a region where, whether you're all the way over to England or, I mean, that's all attached. You know what I mean? So, I mean,
there's a lot of Middle Eastern descent in Spanish, Spanish blood, like the Spanish culture, whatever.
Well, yeah, it's a Mediterranean. It's still a Mediterranean.
It's all around the Mediterranean, baby.
Yeah. And what I didn't like about Bonzo was they did not make him very imposing on the movie.
Oh, yeah.
No, he was
short.
smaller than Ender by a lot.
By almost a foot. I swear to God, it was almost a foot. He was tiny.
Yeah, Ender had a whole head on him.
Yeah.
And he looked maybe 5 years older than him, but he was short.
He was tiny. And when the fight happened, it was it looked less like Ender was getting one up on somebody and more like it was a big kid beating up a little kid and killing him. And they're like, oh, he did it. Goddamn, dude.
Right, but the nature of what happened to Bonzo was more of an accident in the movie.
Yes.
Where Ender kicked him away from him, and he slipped, fell backward, and hit his head on the shower ledge.
Yeah,
in the
it was
book,
right on the
Ender somehow hits him in the face so hard that he kills him.
Mm-hmm.
Which I kind of like the movie's thing better as far as explaining how Bonzo is. I don't think it was clear whether he died or just got put in a coma and never heard from again.
Yeah, because they were
on him.
They were doing surgery on him.
So I agree with you that the movie nailed down that he was injured from the fight, like possibly fatally. But at the same time, like the expectation of getting hit in the head is that, hey, I'm going to make it. You know what I mean? I can take a hit to the head. But you'd be surprised. Just getting hit just the right way in the right circumstance in the head, it can be done like now. So that's not outside the realm of possibility the way it happened in the book.
I agree, because it's just crazy how things can happen and it'll just take them out.
Right, but they probably couldn't sell it convincingly in the movie.
No,
if he just hit him in the face and he went down.
We watch movies where people get their heads beat up with baseball bats for 5 minutes and then they beat up everybody in the room afterwards. You know, like it was nothing. You know, John McClane runs across a floor of glass and then takes out 4 more super terrorists. You know, I mean.
Right, he can still run around with glass shards in his foot.
Yeah. I mean, it's just, you know, I get a splinter and I'm out for a couple days. You know,
right.
Come on.
I was like,
I
stubbed my toe. I got to call in. Yeah,
I got to call in. I stubbed my toe. And it's not to say that some people in a dire situation won't push past that stuff. It obviously does happen, and people are amazing in a lot of ways. But the movies are just too much. You know, somebody gets shot in the arm and it's always a flesh wound, and they can still fight with that arm perfectly, when the reality is that arm's done. That arm is done until you get medical attention. You aren't using it.
Yeah. You got stuff that's got to heal before you can even flex your arm again.
Right. I mean, look, I believe that in the whole Tombstone fight, Wyatt Earp's brother got shot in the arm, or maybe it wasn't his brother, but he got shot in the arm and he had to leave because his arm was done for. It was paralyzed. You know, that's real shit. You know, that happens. I don't know if that was just for the movie or for real, but yeah.
Yeah. Also in the movie, I found it strange that they push this love story between him and Petra.
They didn't really push a love story, but it was suggestible.
It was
like,
there.
They made it really suggested.
It was there, suggested. They had a bond. They had chemistry.
Yeah.
It was almost as if she replaced Valentine.
In a way, yeah. And like the way that I'm thinking of the first time that they go into the practice room together, in the anti-gravity room or whatever.
Yeah, that felt a lot like a date.
Yeah, and like the way they were looking at each other and smiling and this and that. And to me, in the book, you never for a moment, in fact, Ender even says in the book, because he had gotten naked and gotten into his bunk, and somebody came around and said, hey, listen, boys can't get naked in here because of Petra. And he was like, well, I saw her naked. And the guy said, well, she can do whatever she wants, but you can't. And he was like, that seems stupid, separating boys and girls. You know, she doesn't look any different with her clothes off than any of us do, blah, 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 right? So to me in the book, when him and Petra were in there, it was all business. Like she was like, this is how you do this. And they didn't have like any, like they would have had a reaction to each other, like two hetero guys talking about battle stuff, right?
Right.
I mean, that's what it felt like.
In the movie, they were sharing looks.
They were looking at each other.
She was behind him, guiding his arm to straighten up his his shooting and stuff. Yeah, it looked very romantic.
And people will always say like, oh, you got to do that stuff because it's the movies and that's what people want. But I'll tell you what, man, there have been some really good movies where they made some really odd choices. Wish I could think of one off the top of my head right now where they don't do what everybody expects to happen in a movie. And those movies end up doing well. Yeah. And I think Ender's Game, because of the content, because of the story, could have been a lot better. I almost feel like Ender's Game, the movie, should have been broken into 2 parts. Realistically, like him in Battle School and then him. I don't know. It just felt like they rushed too many things. It
felt like one of those movies that, again, it worked if you had read the book and understood what was behind the choices that they made in the movie. But
Right.
if you're watching the movie without that background of having read the book, you'd have a lot of questions.
And that's why there's no other Ender's Game movies.
Yeah, and it's tough. It's tough to tell that story in 2 hours, and they leave out the whole Demosthenes and what's the other one?
What's going on Earth? Demosthenes and Locke.
Yeah.
Locke and Demosthenes. Yeah, Peter, his brother, is supposed to take over the world, basically, and he gets one scene in the movie,
Right.
beginning of the movie,
And it's just the one where he threatens to kill Ender and his sister.
Mm-hmm. He plays a much bigger part in his psyche than is portrayed in the movie.
I also want to note that in the book, Ender fights the kid and like kicks him at school, Stilson or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
He like beats him up, kicks him a bunch of times, and it's the kicking that kills him in the book, right? In the movie,
he kicked him in the face.
In the movie, he grabs
With
onto
his
the
shoe.
statue. Yeah, but he grabs onto that little statue of like antlers and like
No,
beats him.
it's a formic hand or appendage or whatever.
Yeah, that makes sense. It looked like antlers to me. But
they were studying the alien anatomy.
But yeah, he beats him down with that shit. Now I'm more like definitely. Yeah, it was almost as if just like with the Bonzo falling and hitting his head on that ledge, they wanted to nail down like this killed this kid. You know, he used this heavy item to bash this kid's head in.
Mm-hmm.
But overall, I mean, it was still. I was glad we read the book. I was glad we watched the movie. It was interesting.
It was cool to see visually what was going on in the book.
Right.
Though. Like I like sci-fi movies, and it was very cool to see.
Yeah, I liked how they played out that last attack where they surrounded a bunch of people in the middle and pushed through.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I thought that was neat. Which makes me wonder if the antagonist from the next book knows of Ender, and that's why he visited Earth to try and stop it from happening.
Could be.
With his little alien sidekick, Peter.
I'm telling you, that's not a thing. That sounds like headcanon to me.
It's what I think.
Well, that's because you're a Philistine, Harold.
Listen, dude, if I think it hard enough, I could probably get Peter elected president.
What did we read? The Secret? No. We read My Teacher is an Alien.
This was a fun breather after
Yes, it was.
Ender's
It was
Game.
fun to go through.
For
You
sure.
know, we missed something though. Halfway through Ender's Game, we read another book.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, because
Read-
Andy had to go away.
Yep.
Okay, it's not entirely me. Like, there's only one night on any given week that we can actually record, and that night just so happened to fall upon a night that I had a date planned.
Yeah, but you already knew we were going to be recording.
Yeah, it's only one night. You just said it yourself. It's only one night of the week that we can record.
There are 7 nights in a week,
Right.
and it is not my decision to have only one of those nights available.
It has become more
And it's-
difficult, and we have to make sure that we don't have background noise.
Yep, and we live in different time zones.
Yeah.
But yes, that did force a play, and it's fine. It's totally fine.
And no,
It was a good
I was
episode.
actually glad we did it because now
Yeah.
we know that when we have that situation come up, it's just,
We have a backup plan.
yeah, whoever the other
Yeah.
two are will read a small children's book.
Now, Andy, did you happen to read the book?
Oh, I own the Harold and the Purple Crayon like collection. Whatever. I've read it to Xander several times by now. So yeah, I have read Harold and the Purple Crayon.
Do you agree that kid ate way too much pie?
Yes, I do.
Yeah.
That is too much pie for anyone to eat,
Yeah, especially
Including
a small toddler.
a small old man looking toddler.
Right.
Well, that's why he drew a very skinny moose. So-
You know,
Emaciated moose.
Something I didn't mention that I think it's fair to talk about this with the author of Harold and the Purple Crayon. Can't remember his name right off the top of my head right now.
Crockett Johnson.
Crockett Johnson. Oh yeah, Crockett Johnson. So Crockett Johnson, I guess in the 1950s, wrote for a communist newspaper.
Oh, that's fun.
Yeah.
Yes.
So he
In
was
the
a part,
1950s.
Yeah, he was part of the American Workers' Party or something like that.
That's bold.
Of course, not in the sense, you know, I mean, the thing is that it gets all tipsy-turvy and turned up and immediately that means communist dictatorship. No, the concept that they had and they were talking about was that the workers are the important people in the country and super rich people shouldn't own everything while we starve and beat ourselves to death just to have a little piece of the pie. But yes, I think it's fair to bring that up about him since we're so willing to talk about all the other authors.
Maybe that's why he gave Harold so much pie.
Harold made that pie himself, sir.
He had the right to that pie, yes.
He had the right to that pie because he created it. But then Harold was also kind enough to feed that emaciated, dying moose and the little porcupine. Mm-hmm. Because sharing is caring.
Right. And you know who didn't get the majority of the pie? The creator of the crayon.
Nope.
So yes, Harold from Harold and the Purple Crayon, communist hero.
Yeah.
Good on you, comrade.
As it turns out.
Good on you, comrade. That's what I say.
Comrade and the red crayon, red flag. I don't know.
Well, it's funny because among all of that knowledge of knowing that, he never wrote anything like super hateful against people or anything. Just always kind of like wanted people to work together and help out. So anyhow.
Yeah, weird. Weird about that. So strange.
Yeah.
And the moon went with him.
And the moon went with him.
Oh, speaking of moon and communists, that brings to mind a memory that I have from first grade, where we were given like a coloring sheet or whatever. We had like a landscape of like the moon with a flag in it, and it was blank, and you had to design a flag for the moon. Now, at the time, I was playing my brand new NES. It was probably like after Christmas or whatever. And one of the first games I got for my NES was The Hunt for Red October, which features like the communist hammer and sickle emblem boldly when you start up the game. And that hammer and sickle stuck in my mind. I had no fucking clue what a communist was.
Right.
But I drew that hammer and sickle as the design for the moon's flag. So that must have been interesting for my teacher to see. I think she had some comments about it, but those are vague in my memories of me giving the moon to the USSR.
I mean, to be honest, they had more space achievements than the United States ever did, so.
Yeah, but let's be real, though. I mean, they do give the whole concept a bad name. Them and China give the whole concept a bad name.
Yeah, unfortunately, because they were taken over by dictators.
Yeah, dictators.
Yeah,
I mean,
it's totalitarianism. It's not communism.
Right. It's totalitarianism. I mean, but it is what it is.
We have totalitarian capitalists. They're called Republicans.
Right. Yes.
And Democrats. Let's face it.
And Democrats.
It's true.
Everybody, pretty much.
They're all imperialists, so it doesn't
all
matter.
Imperialists, totalitarians, whatever. Just competing totalitarians. Anyways.
So we did that, but our fourth book was My Teacher's an Alien, which I thought was a fun story.
Oh yeah, it was a fun romp. It was very reminiscent of Goosebumps as far as that, as like the little bits of, the little chills and stuff that it gives you.
Mm-hmm. One of the stories told from the perspective of a young child in school, the whole schoolyard dynamics as we can relate to them. And
it was a female. That was awesome. It was
female lead, female perspective.
Yeah. Do we get more strong female leads from male authors? I don't get it.
Yeah, we'll have to propose or to purpose to read like Ramona Quimby or something with a strong female lead by a female author pretty soon.
Is that Judy Blume?
That's Beverly Cleary who wrote the Ramona.
Cleary, okay.
Yeah, but
because I know I saw those Judy Blume books. Yeah,
Judy Blume books too.
Yeah, I want to do some of those.
Yeah, we haven't done any Judy Blume.
We could do a whole chapter of strong female characters by female authors.
I was excited when I saw those Judy Blume books the other day because I didn't realize. I was like, oh, sweet. Yeah, I read those.
Mm-hmm. And if we make it not necessarily by female authors, we may cover Matilda.
Right.
Because that's a strong female lead, but it's by
a piece of shit.
A piece of shit, Roald Dahl. However, it is a good ass story.
Yeah.
It's okay. He's dead, guys.
It's okay. He's dead.
And that means we get to watch the movie, and I like the movie.
Yes, good movie too. Yeah.
I liked, so there's a story I was watching about that movie, and so I guess Danny DeVito directed that movie. I think I sent this to you guys. Danny DeVito directed that movie, and there was a scene where she was supposed to be dancing and making all the stuff fly around, like the silverware and all that. And I remember the scene. I just don't remember exactly what was happening, but she was making stuff flying around. and she was having a hard time getting into it and dancing. And Danny DeVito asked her, you know, well, what's the problem? Why aren't you dancing? And she said she was nervous. And he said, well, you know why you're nervous? Because you're the only one dancing. And so he made everyone on the set dance with her.
That's awesome.
So she could dance and do that scene. And it's just like, I mean, Danny DeVito is one of those guys where you just know, I don't know, something about him tells me he's a good guy.
Oh, yeah.
He's like your Bill Murray or your Robin Williams. You just know that deep down they are a good person.
Brendan Fraser this week.
Fraser.
Did you see that thing about Brendan Fraser? He teared up because his fan, he was on this Zoom call, I think, with one of his fans, and she's like, oh, he's like talking about how he's going to be in this new movie with Robert De Niro, and she's like, oh, well, we're all rooting for you. The whole internet's behind you, and you could see him get visibly choked up, like oh man. He's like, well, shucks. And I was like, aw, Brendan Fraser, we do love you.
Yeah. No, it's good when there's, you know, when people like that we watch on shows turn out to be decent people on the other side of that. I really get tired of what we have today. All these celebrities, I say with air quotes, that get so much attention and so much love from people, and they're just the worst fucking people on the planet.
Right.
And it's like everybody's just behind them 100%. And it's like, no doubt people following some of these people is part of the reason of the downfall of intelligent thought in our country.
YouTubers and Twitch streamers.
Oh, I mean, it goes back worse than that. It's reality TV.
Yeah.
Is as far back as the
reality
90s.
TV. It's Instagram. What are they called?
Models or whatever. Influencers.
Influencers, yeah.
Yep.
Instagram influencers, yeah.
Yep. TikTok armies and these people that just like they start saying something stupid and a bunch of people get behind them without
who gets behind. How do so many people get behind these assholes?
Because they don't want to take the time to look something up for themselves, so they just glob onto an idea that feels comfortable to them and they just ride it. You know, and it just, you know,
like who's the fucking influencers or whatever, like gone to like boxing or fighting recently?
I don't know. I don't like sports.
I'm blanking on their name.
And I don't care about influencers, so I really don't care.
Oh, are you talking about that Jake Paul or whatever?
Yeah, the Paul, like
one of the Paul brothers.
Dudes. Yeah,
I don't even know who. All I know is that people have been talking
Ron
about
Paul
him.
and Rand Paul. No.
Yeah.
Logan Paul.
A bunch of people have been talking about Logan Paul. That's what it is. Yeah.
Yeah. Like how? Fucking how?
Who cares about this person? Yes, it makes no sense.
Why am I supposed to care what the fuck he does?
But then we've gotten some greatness out of that whole YouTube thing. Like Bo Burnham is a comedic genius, and it's all from little stupid YouTube videos. So it's not like it's a dry well, but you just don't find people that actually give a shit about real things that are just, I don't know. Anyways.
Yeah, it's nice to have people that help us connect with ourselves and with the positivity in life.
Yeah, exactly.
Anyways,
and that was My Teacher is an Alien.
Yes, all about My Teacher is an Alien in a nutshell.
Yeah. So I had listened to the audiobook a few times on My Teacher is an Alien. And when it gets to the end where they're all excited and like fighting the alien with the song and stuff, God, is that sequence just so annoying? Because like the way she's, like the way she's like, I hit that high C harder than I've ever hit it before, and I'm like, oh my God,
you gotta get up there for that climax.
Yeah,
and that would be an appropriate place to say phrasing.
Yep, it would. But yeah, it was a good book, and I do want to read more Bruce Coville in the future. I think he's added to the list of authors that we will revisit some more books from them.
Yeah, we'll add them to the second book rotation.
Mm-hmm. And then that does it, right? That's a wrap for chapter 3.
No, I think the way that episode went goes more like dun 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 dun.
No, because Darth Vader's cool
and evil.
Exactly, Darth Vader's cool. So,
I mean, the joke's on you guys. I got a chance to spread my wings and show what I can do.
Yeah,
because I'm a professional audiobook narrator, and I've got a good storytelling voice, and and I could do the accents and the voices just like the characters.
As long as I'm telling a predetermined story, I'm good.
Yeah, I know what I did find out by revisiting that book is that the first two choices that you make can end the story, but the third one is really where it branches off, where one way you go down the plot of the movie and the other way is a fairly compelling side story where you're off on your own. And in case we want to do anything with it, I'm not going to spoil anything, but it's pretty cool. And I wish that you guys had chosen to go off to say goodbye to your family instead of jump onto the Falcon and follow the movie.
Well, we have a slide whistle for problems like that, and that slide whistle may be used in the future for possible member or Patreon episodes later on, I think. Because we can revisit the ninja, the secret of the ninja, see if we can find some ninjas. We can revisit the magic of the unicorn, see if we can find us a dragon or a warlock. And we can revisit the Star Wars. And if people really want to find out what way the story goes, they can do that.
Right. And we'll have no idea what you listeners want unless you send us an email to reliterated@gmail.com. Let us know what you think. Let us know how you feel. What Choose Your Own Adventures would you like us to revisit?
You can also message us on Facebook too.
Oh yeah.
If an email is too much.
We have a Facebook page, and you can slide into our DMs there.
We're on Reddit even. You can go on there.
And Twitter as well. We can be reached.
Mm-hmm.
And we are not above whoring ourselves out for advertisements.
No.
But I've been wondering who our audience is. Like, we have a small handful of listeners that we get automatic downloaded on a weekly basis, and I can probably only name a couple regular listeners. So if you're a regular listener, I'd love for you to reach out to us and let us know. Not just to get praise from you, but I'm actually wondering who we're reaching.
Who the hell are you?
Yeah, who are you? Why are you listening to us? I mean, I know why you're listening
what's
to
going
us.
on here? We didn't make this thing to be listened to.
The only person I've been interacting with is these two chumps.
No, I mean, that is true that we have some that are probably auto downloads, but we also, we have more than that too that come through, and some episodes are randomly more popular than others. I mean, yeah.
Mm-hmm. And I can tell you from experience that it is kind of a lot of fun to engage with the host of another podcast. Like, I'm starting to become pretty good buds with Matty Ice and Marky Mark, and we hang out at the arcade every so often, and I come into their stores and drop some cash on games every so often, and we shoot the shit. We talk about the podcast and podcasting and stuff like that, and it's a lot of fun to be part of like an in group and know people and stuff. So yeah, we would welcome anybody to come do that with us.
Now we do have. Did we mention
our ending in the cupboard is up to 100 views, by the way,
on YouTube?
On YouTube, yes.
Oh wow!
So we haven't talked about the fact that we're going on. We've talked about it in previous episodes, but we will be going on a hiatus for the next month.
Yep, that's right. We've wrapped up this chapter, and we're calling it a season 1, and taking off for the month of September. But we are going to be coming back for our next chapter of the podcast, which is going to be a spooky month because it's October.
And we've got some pretty decent books picked out for this. I'm excited for them.
Yeah, we're going to have some fun with these stories.
Indeed.
Just to try and make sure that we bring you back when it happens, the first book in our next series is going to be a classic that I would assume everybody our age has read.
Yeah. I'm fairly certain, because I didn't even like scary stories, but I read this.
Oh yeah, we're going to be doing scary stories to tell in the dark, which will be a little bit different because it's a bunch of different stories all collected together. So, like, my thoughts were that we do it, we all read through it and we pick our favorites, each personally pick our favorites.
That sounds good to me.
And then never read them again. No, I'm definitely going to read all of them.
I'm going to read all of them.
Discuss them.
Yeah, no, I'm going to read all of them to be able to discuss them. But I'm saying, like, we should each pick a couple favorites and, like, point out why. But yeah, that's what our first book is going to be, is Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark. And being as though it's October, it also gives us an excuse to do another Goosebumps book, a second chapter in a row.
That's right. We're going to keep it spooky, because I don't know if there are any other spooky Babysitters Club books.
No, I'm thinking that we'll be better off with a Christmas Babysitters Club book.
Yeah, we'll save that for Christmas or something, or Thanksgiving.
What was that other one? The Saddle Club? Something like that? Maybe they have a Thanksgiving one.
Boxcar Children?
I don't know.
Dang it.
Yeah, there's other stuff that's on our list of stuff to do.
So did we talk about what our favorite book of the season was, each of us?
I don't think we have.
I don't think we did either. I see it in the notes here.
Yeah, that was going to be how we introduced ourselves, but we went a different direction with it.
That's all right. It gives us something to say here at the end.
So out of the 15, kind of 16 books, including Harold and the Purple Crayon, what book did y'all enjoy the most?
So for me, I mean, I have to say, Maniac Magee. I really like that book. I liked the book when I was young. I liked it now. I read it multiple times again this time, and still one of my favorite books easily.
I hate to say it, but I really liked reading Ender's Game. I read it very quickly. I read it a couple times. I don't know why. I devoured that book. I'm probably not going to read it again, but that was probably my favorite one. Based on how fast I read it and how much I enjoyed it. It's just, it was tainted.
It was over with.
Here's what happened. I read the book and then I read about the author and it tainted it. That is what happened.
Did the same for me.
Got suckered in by the story. Yeah, if you ignore who wrote it and what he believes, then yeah, that's a pretty damn good story. I don't know. I'd have to say that I'm also going to give it to Maniac Magee. I'd forgotten reading it back in school, but when I reread it for the podcast, it grabbed me with how well it was written, how heartwarming a story it was, how pure and wholesome the protagonist is. And I mean, yeah, I think it's just a damn good story.
Yeah, and you watched the movie too, which you said was even better.
Oscar worthy. Yeah. That is some beautiful garbage, I will say. If you like watching movies that you know are going to be terrible, like you just want to shake your head and go, what the fuck? Then watch the TV movie adaptation of Maniac Magee after reading the book.
Yeah, read the book first, for sure.
Yeah. The book actually made me cry. So
the book made me cry too. So I don't want to say, like, I won't even taint my mind with that movie.
And I think in the right frame of mind, the movie can make you cry tears of laughter. So
I just want to see the street change.
So to wrap up, we're going to jump off of talking about Maniac Magee and see who we would recruit into the kid version of the Avengers, because we've had a lot of remarkable children in these 15 books. Who would be worthy of joining a super team of out of these protagonists?
I mean, Sam Gribley, obviously, because
he has some superpowers.
Well, yeah, I mean, anything the team needs, he can make out of natural items by just remembering a book he read.
Well, his magic power is the ability to find anything he needs to make those things. That's his special power.
Well, he can also drink water straight from a creek without getting diarrhea.
Yep. And he can drink poisonous tea and not die.
Yes.
And he can retain any knowledge that he has ever read and recall it from memory.
And he has the power over falcons.
Yes. He is a beastmaster. He throws parties for squirrels.
Maniac would fit into that too. Kid has like unstoppable stamina, great hand-eye coordination.
Very fast runner.
Yep.
Can balance on a rail.
Untie any knot.
Yeah, takes him a while, but if you watch the movie, it's way more superpowered than that. Oh, God. He jumps into the giant fucking knot and he's in the middle of it and he bursts out of it and that's how he unties it. Oh, the movie's so good. Garrett Morris is in it. and Rip Torn. I don't rewatch that shit. But Charles Wallace is definitely in.
Oh yeah, psychic powers work. I mean Ender would have to be there too.
I mean, he's a straight up tactician.
I was gonna say, if we go with Harold's not possible, it's a thing, but from My Teacher's an Alien, the friend who goes off to be with the aliens.
Yeah, Peter, because he's an alien. He'd be like Martian Manhunter.
If he's like, if he is an alien, which Harold says, which we both know isn't true.
Yeah, we're definitely going to be covering the next book in the series, and we're going to get to the bottom of this. We're going to find out if Peter winds up being an alien, and if he does, I will reward Harold somehow.
I already told him I'll give him $1.
Oh yeah, I owe him a Coke.
Listen, I'll tell you what. If Peter's an alien, you guys really want to stick on this? If Peter's an alien,
okay, we're laying down stakes now.
You guys got to go in and buy me a box of butterscotch crimpets.
Oh,
I mean, I can do that. I can throw in for that.
Okay. And you guys can decide on what you want.
And if in our reading he is definitively not an alien but a human child,
you guys get reliterated t-shirts.
Yes.
Yeah.
So it's a win-win for me. That will be
as long as mine fits.
Yeah, there'll be a total of 3 reliterated t-shirts.
And obviously Harold, not you, the other Harold, he would also be the superhero because he would be able to make everybody pie.
Oh, yeah, dude. And dragons. He could make dragons too.
Yeah.
Yeah, he can just manifest things with his crayon powers.
Fuck yeah. He's probably the most powerful of all of them.
Do you think the magic's in the crayon or in the boy?
You know, I don't know. Because, I mean, this brings us to another character that would fit into the Avengers. Ralph the
Are you
Mouse.
thinking of Ralph Mouse? Yes.
Yeah. Ralph S. Mouse.
He has the power to animate inanimate objects.
Yeah.
By making a noise.
Yeah. And it's not clear where the power comes from.
It's from his human-shaped arms.
Yeah, from his terrifying human-shaped arms.
Freakish human arms.
How does that motorcycle go again, Harold? Yep.
I mean, that's a pretty good Avengers team right there.
Yeah. I think there's one more kid that needs to have a spot on this Avengers team. We got Jedi Master Clark Miller, who can drive a grown man into a tree.
No, that was Bruce Miller.
Oh, it was Bruce doing it? I thought you said it was Clark.
No, Bruce was the one practicing with the lightsaber, and then he tricked me with his little move.
I was wrong. He's not 5.
No, he's 7, though. You don't think I could beat up a 7-year-old?
Obviously not.
Obviously not. I mean, clearly.
At the time, I thought it was funnier because I thought it was Clark and he's 5.
Yeah, but still, it doesn't matter.
I mean, Bruce is as big as Clark.
No, he's quite a bit. He's actually shot up quite a bit.
Oh, has he? Okay.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
I haven't seen him in a while.
Kid stands above my belly button now. His eyes come above my belly button.
These kids are growing.
Oh, They are. It's crazy. No, but I mean, Clark does hurt me sometimes. So
I was going to say, Clark is somebody that would take you out. So
for sure, yeah. I guess that they can both have spots on the team.
Yeah, both of them.
They're talented kids.
Talented at violence.
Yeah, they take them out. All right. Well, I think that's a season, y'all.
That is good.
Well, I had a good time, you guys. So
I did as well. I'm excited to come back for the spooky season, though.
Yeah, spooktacular.
Mm-hmm. But I think, what is this? This is chapter 3, right?
Yeah, we're closing up chapter 3.
All right. So maybe it'll be 3 chapters a season. That might work out. And so you can expect us to be back for a little while and then go away for a moment.
as these things do, as it often goes. Yep, I think we've fallen into a decent pattern here.
Excellent.
All right, well, this has been fun, guys. But it is 11:30, and Harold has to be up in 5 hours.
All right. Well, to all our listeners, thank you so much for listening to our show. This is Reliterated, brought to you by the Chocolate Milk Friends. If you enjoy us, please talk about it with your friends. Let them know that you found an awesome book-related podcast to listen to. Give us a subscribe on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Podcast Addict, Podbean, Google Podcasts, or any podcatcher app that pulls from these sources. and give us reviews and ratings wherever you listen to us. And for season 1, give a shit, read some lit.
Have a good whatever time of the day it is for you.
Thanks!
See you in October.
What happened to the Bing stuff, Andy?
I only had 5 things on that list.
That would have been plenty.
What was the Bing stuff?
All right, so welcome to the post-season 1 post-show. I composed a list of things that we said we were going to Bing, but never binged.
Okay.
Because we've binged things during the show before, but there are... I've been listening to some of the older episodes. I haven't listened to all of them, didn't have the time, but I started to compose a list of things that we wanted to bing, but didn't do on the show. I only came up with 5 of them, but the first one is Chris Benoit. We didn't go into Chris Benoit's story.
I think there's a reason why we didn't go into Chris Benoit.
There's a good reason we didn't go into
murdered
Chris
his
Benoit.
whole fucking family.
While on steroids.
Yeah.
He went ragey and murdered his family.
Yes.
The
term for
tragic
him is a family annihilator.
Yeah.
Yeah, he wasn't the cross-face crippler. He was a cross-face murderer.
Oh my god. Poor Stacy.
Right?
We also didn't bing Philistines. We didn't definitively figure out what Philistines are.
I thought we did for sure.
Josh and
Philistine. I looked it up.
Did you look it up?
Yeah.
It literally is a person that doesn't appreciate culture or...
Yeah, and I was like, it just feels really cringy and...
It feels like
almost like a slur. Yeah.
Because it's used like a slur.
Yeah, the dad is awful about it.
Yeah.
But it was also an ancient people who lived on the south coast of Canaan from the 12th century BC until 604 BC, when their polity, after having already been subjugated for centuries by Assyria, was finally destroyed by King Nebuchadnezzar II of Babylonia. So the Jews didn't do it, Babylon did.
Babylon 5.
Nebuchadnezzar.
This is probably Babylon 1, but okay. We also didn't bing whether Book It is still a thing. And we recently found out after that episode that Pizza Hut is bringing back the Book It program.
Hell
yeah! Thanks to us.
Thanks to us. Yep, posted about it on Facebook, I believe.
Yep.
You're welcome.
And we wanted to bing the release year of Beetlejuice versus the release year of Nightmare Before Christmas, because during Andy's Ask Hole, there was a question about character appearing on Beetlejuice's hat, or Michael Keaton's hat, whatever that wound up being in Nightmare Before Christmas, and we wondered what years those were.
And it is actually that Jack Skellington was just a random character they created on the Beetlejuice hat, and they later used him for Nightmare Before Christmas.
Interesting. I like that in the show Community throughout the series, they say Beetlejuice exactly 3 times, and on the 3rd time he shows up in the background.
Yeah, during a Halloween party.
Yep.
Yeah.
And is that all the things?
The last one is we wanted to bing How is Jeremy?
So?
Josh, your blood brother, Josh.
Oh.
During the Indian in the Cupboard, we talked about Boone and Little Bear becoming blood brothers.
Yeah, I don't know.
Your old blood brother, Jeremy, and we wanted to bing how he's doing.
We're going to bing how he was doing? I have a feeling that one's not going to show up.
Give me a second. I can maybe find out something about him. I know what his last name is and stuff.
How is Jeremy? I'm just going to straight up bing how is Jeremy. And the first result is Jeremy Gilbert, the Vampire Diaries wiki. What is Jeremy Roloff doing now? He and wife are
I don't have
running
much. The last thing is from like in July. So nothing that I can see.
Okay, well, hope you're doing all right,
Jeremy.
Hope you got some of Josh's blood still coursing through you.
I hope that you're listening to us.
And I hope you got over that blood disease.
He didn't get a blood disease.
If anything, Josh got it from him.
He probably lives alone, most likely renting a room in a house with some people, and saves all his money for no clear reason because he doesn't have anybody to give it to.
No, that's me. You're describing me, Harold.
It's in his blood.
But he's got your blood in him now.
Yeah, but no, he's married and has kids, and he's on the drum and bugle corps, and he's part of the Hellcats in the army. So I've seen him on TV a couple times. It was pretty cool.
Well, damn, his blood didn't have any effect on you.
Nope, none at all.
All right. Well, thanks for listening to the post show, everybody.
Goodbye again.
Sign off once more.
All right. Bye.
Bye, Jeremy.
Bye, Jer.
Thanks.
Thanks.